cold out here and I feel lonely. I know the time can move so slowly, and in the distance I hear voices. Are they real or are they in my head? I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and now I feel alive, feel alive, feel alive, feel alive, and now I feel alive. So many times they try to change me, and every time it drives me crazy. And all the good times we had saved me. Are they real or are they in my head? I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and I'm lovesick. You got me lovesick, and now I feel alive, feel alive.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Velocity Online Racing, and welcome back to the International IndyCar Racing League. This is round number 7 of this season, coming to you tonight from Daytona. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Sébastien Kinder. Julien Altena is on broadcast production today, using track cams by trackcams22.com and onboard cams by Julien Altena. Well, Sébastien, we continue on this season at one of the biggest and baddest ovals of them all. Usually when you think of IndyCar racing, you think of a slightly different 2.5-mile oval, but here we're at Daytona. This is an interesting combination, one with a bit of checkered history in real life, shall we say, but this is going to be perhaps one of the nuttiest races of the entirety of this season.
It is. I appreciate the nod to the only IndyCar race that ever happened in 1959 on the Daytona International Speedway. This will be a very interesting race, a pack race like in NASCAR, but they can't bump. They can't bump because they lose their front wings. They do. So it will be nuts.
Oh, it is going to be absolutely wild, and looking forward to it. Happy to be a part of this broadcast here as we're getting into qualifying. 2 laps allotted to these drivers in this 5-minute session. No draft allowed. They just have to put their pedal to the metal and try and get some good times. Low jumping up to P4. Ben Gastel up to the top as we get through this qualifying session. The speeds are going to be high, and the tension is going to be even higher still. Even here in qualifying, when there's no cars out there on the racetrack, we are just a tick below 250 miles an hour, which is just absurd.
Yeah, so for the Europeans that are watching us at home, that's like 400 clicks, or not far from 400 clicks. The speeds are massive, no restrictor plates. Yeah, thank God they're not going there in real life.
Yeah, that is definitely a blessing in disguise. If anyone ever wondered why the NASCAR races in the summer came to be, that's because they were meant to be an IndyCar race. And then after the unfortunate tragic events that surrounded IndyCar's only trip here, where a driver lost their life in an accident, they decided, nope, let's run the big lumpy stock cars around here instead. IndyCar did come back in the late 2000s to run some tests on the road course, but they will never touch the oval with a 10-foot pole again. Right towards the end of qualifying, only a few seconds left. Ronan Eftink looks like he is going to grab the pole position and continue a streak that we have had so far this season of various separate pole sitters. That's only his second pole after another high-speed oval in the form of Michigan a couple of weeks ago. And so the checkered flag is now out here in qualifying. It looks like Eftink will grab the pole position for the 76-lap long race here at Daytona. That will follow. Before we get too lost up in the action and take a look at your starting grid, we want to thank the sponsor for this race here today, that being Florida Urgent Rescue. Our mission is to save animals from kill shelters and other urgent situations. We take on tough cases, including dogs who have been hit by cars, who have gunshot wounds, embedded collars, cancerous tumors, and other major medical problems. We rescue seniors, pregnant mamas, and mamas with litters. We focus primarily on rural shelters with limited resources, and we try to help animals who need the most help. Find them online at www.floridaurgentrescue.org. We'd like to thank Florida Urgent Rescue for sponsoring this race and thank them for their tremendous work. But with all the business taken care of, we can now take a look at your starting grid here for the 7th round of this 13-race championship. So a lot of action left in store just here today. Starting from the pole will be Ronan Eftink. It's his second pole this season. He's going to start alongside David Strid there on your front row. Row number 2, going to see Pim van Gastel start next to Matthias Strauss there, making up 3rd and 4th here at the start of tonight's race. Mike West in the number 69 car, nice, will start next to Lowe there in the 004 machine, just a little bit below Bond. Row number 4, we'll see John Christensen start next to Callum Ford, with the rest of your pack being completed by Ryan Bowles and Rick Lovison there in the number 9 machine. Dan Ensch will start this race on row number 6 with Brian Fiolis starting alongside him there in P12. And folks, that will just about round it out with one more car, that being Manuel Esteban starting this race back of the pack there all alone on row number 7. Sébastien, we're going to talk a lot about the history of this combination and the tension heading off into this race, but I think right now we can call this portion before this pace lap starts as really the calm before the storm.
Yeah, because we're going to be expecting like some big crashes, and really this is, for having done Daytona and Talladega on IndyCars, it's not a physical race, but mentally it is draining, because you cannot afford to do a slight contact with any other cars out there. You need to be staying in the pack, you need to be playing chess at 250 miles per hour. It is frankly, it's brutal. It's a brutal race.
Oh, it is going to be brutal on the brain. It's like walking across a tightrope while simultaneously juggling chainsaws. That's what these drivers will be in store here, with that constant looming threat of when things do go wrong, there's not a lot of room to run or hide. You know, Indy, it's not exactly the widest racing surface in the world. Daytona may be a whole lot wider, but these open wheel cars, you're not going to be able to go willy-nilly from the turn off onto the apron. That transition will spin your car around like a top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it is going to be a brutal fight in the night here for round number 7 of this season. I also do want to note that in Sim, we're running on October 31st, so we are on Halloween, so that could explain why these drivers will be in for quite the spook here tonight. Quick little touch on the weather conditions before we grab the green here tonight. They are pretty cool as it stands right now. You can see only 20 degrees Celsius for both the track and the ambient temperature. That is about as low as it gets in the Sim. 5% humidity, which is basically desert dryness in the state of Florida. For those like me who want to translate that into simple American numbers, as 68 degrees Fahrenheit for the track and the ambient temperature. So rather chilly here, racing in the night, dancing the night away here. It's actually very, very early morning, 1:05 a.m. in sim time. So this could wake up the neighbors. Certainly going to wake up the neighbors if things get a little bit wild. Waiting for that green flag to come out here tonight, which it does, and the drivers are on their way. Slightly jumbled up start as the field spreads and the speeds build, but right now getting off to an absolute flyer there. Our poleman, Ronan Eftink, trying to hold on to P2 as it was John Christensen with a fantastic start there, now holding on to the race lead on the backstretch.
Now, here comes the chess, because one big name, one big game of the International IndyCar League is fuel. It's fuel saving. So we're probably going to see a lot of guys who already... And by the way, it does get tight at the exit of 4 and 2. The track is... It's wide, but I was shocked to see how quickly the wall appears in turn 4. So they gotta watch out for that.
Yeah, it is definitely a jump scare as you head your way through that section of the track. The exit comes up on you very, very quickly. Do want to note, Eftink, the first driver to learn the worry of that, got up there into the wall in that number 18 machine. That's definitely a spook. Gotta wonder how that car is feeling. A small little bit of aerodynamic damage can hurt you dearly in this race, so keep an eye on that as we go throughout the rest of this afternoon. But the game of leapfrog has already begun up at the front of the pack. Your current race leader is Manuel Gomez Esteban, who started this race, remember, at the tail end of the field, did not set a qualifying time because of the draft and because of how good it is to be able to get some moves done. He has already been able to cycle his way up to the front.
So one thing we may have missed is Jason Lowe, who has probably either started from the pits or had some issues at the start, because he's 30 seconds and he's going to be hoping for a caution. He is
all... Yeah, we're hearing as well from Julien, started this race from pit lane, so going to be on the back foot massively right now, all by his lonesome there, and if things don't change, he may get overtaken here very, very soon. There he is, heading down the back straightaway off into turn number 3 and 4. Our current race leader is not too far behind, heading through the same part of the racetrack where the bus stop chicane on the road course is, so this could be real interesting once we get lap traffic into the midst. Could be good news for your leader if he's trying to do a little bit of fuel saving, though.
I mean, that would be a godsend for Gomez. That would be like a transaction. Gomez will be like, you know what, Jason? I'm keeping you in the lead lap, but in exchange, you have to burn your fuel so that I can save fuel.
Yeah, it's that game of fuel-saving chicken. I talked about lap traffic chicken not too long ago here on the channel. Fuel-saving chicken is another game that these drivers do have to play. We ride on board with one of these drivers getting some good fuel-saving pretty much in the middle of the pack. It's Strauss, currently running in P7 as it stands right now, as it drives from Strid right up in front, has Fiolas directly behind. You can tell it's getting very, very close, very tense here. Just trying to lock yourself into the slipstream, get some good fuel-saving, and also whittle those laps away. There is no point going for glory here on lap 6 of a 76 lap long race.
Yeah, especially when all you need to do is stay in that lead pack for now. The main goal of that first stint is to not lose the leaders. That's the only thing you need to do. Then maybe later we may see some agitation, because you're probably going to be needing to be top 5 around the end of the race to have a shot at the win. Also, big thing to take into account, since we're not having a lot of caution in this league, Ron, the pit stops need to be immaculate.
Yeah, that is a fantastic point. They did bring up a very sketchy pit exit here. You're having to run on the apron all the way through on the inside of turns number 1 and 2 and rejoin on the back straightaway. There you see that blue cone. It's basically a small little blue flash, considering how fast this field is coming up on it. But that is a point where you can finally merge, and when that comes around, it could be very, very sketchy. It's a dirty part of the racetrack. It's flatter than a pancake, and these cars, they enjoy banking, even though the banking around here is probably the highest banking that IndyCar has seen, frankly, since they did testing for a race that they abandoned back in the 1980s when IndyCars were supposed to run at Talladega that year.
Oh yeah, that was during the sort of weird period where you suck and karts were maybe kind of like reunited, but maybe not. That was a wild period.
Yeah, what a festive period of time that was. The first of, I guess, 2.5 splits that have gone through IndyCar over the years. Of course, a kart IRL split in the 90s and the 2000s, the USAC kart split back in the 70s and 80s. And then if you want to count it as a half, it's the dirt sprint car and IndyCar splits back in the 60s. But right now, these drivers not splitting up right now. They're formed together in a nice little train that we've got right now, Sébastien. I'm thinking, we see this pack. It kind of reminds me of those speed skating events at the Olympics when everybody's just tucked in trying to save their energy.
Oh wow, you're going all out on the sport reference. I like it, but it does kind of feel like it actually. So that's a very good point. And you know they're not running full song because reminder, we said Jason Lowe was 30 seconds behind the pack behind Gomez. Now he's 27 seconds. He's running full song. These guys are not.
Yeah, so at this point, everybody running as tame as they possibly can, not having to worry about any sort of hard racing. They're not trying to play the game of leapfrog on another. They're just running strong. I gotta say, Gomez has been sort of hung out to dry there up at the front of the pack. He's holding on to the race lead, as he has done for a decent period of time now. It's been, what, about 7 laps that he's spent in the top spot. It was a fantastic charge after starting up from the back of the pack. So certainly making a statement here early, but he's also making a pretty big dent in that fuel tank.
Yeah, that's why he's running super slowly, and because he's trying to save whatever fuel he can save. But you know, even if you're lifting, you're still pushing that air running. Because reminder, these cars, when they're traveling, they're pushing the air around them. So if you stick behind a car, then you don't have to push that air. So the car in front is pretty much screwed anyway. And look at the lap times. Lowe is half a second faster than Gomez.
And that slipstream is just so huge here in this race that if you're the one having to punch the hole in the air, it is tricky. Thinking about Daytona, just geographically speaking, you know, Florida isn't exactly the most hilly and highly, elevated state in the entirety of the U.S. It is flat as a pancake right there on the sea. And of course, we're not too far away from the beaches of Daytona where, auto racing in that area really started way back in the day. So you're having to cut your way through very, very thick air. It is thick sea, Floridian, slightly humid, and certainly cold air. So these drivers, compared to some other races that they may go throughout the season on some slightly higher elevation, this is real tough. We think about Pocono that started off this season, another 2.5-mile oval, a place that I've been to many times in real life. It's only an hour and a half away from me after all. That track is about 1,000 feet higher in elevation than Daytona is, and that may not seem like the greatest distance in the world, but when it comes to the thickness of the air, it basically feels like these drivers are having to drive through a big bowl of soup compared to some of the other races they had this season. That's checking up big time. That's a pit stop for Gomez.
So he's already pitting, I think, because at Talladega that was around the fuel number when you'd stop. So that's because reminder for the new ones out there, these fuel tanks are reduced. We are 55% fuel cells. So you may also see double stints on these tires today.
Yeah, I think that would be a good call because this track, let's face it, not exactly known for being one that puts a lot of wear on the tires. Certainly a lot of load going through them. The tires are going to be hot even on this cool track, but point remains either way that these drivers may have a good time on their hands. Callum Ford currently playing a nice little game of leapfrog with John Christensen. It was Christensen taking the race lead when we saw Gomez come down pit lane, and then Ford went for the move, and then Christensen has now gone back past him. So the swaparoo continuing here at the front of the field. Roden F-Tank, who started this race with a small little bump against the outside safer barrier, he's looking to try and get a good run going here in this race. He's in third, getting a fantastic front row seat to this game of leapfrog that's still going on right in front of him.
Ford and Christensen, these two are very well acquainted. I mean, they're teammates, and John is pretty much trying to get Ford. He's pretty much his master. And yeah, not shocking at all that we see these two working tightly for that swap, I think.
So getting some drafting going down, getting some pit stops taken care of. 2 more drivers coming down pit lane. It's actually Rick Levinson there in the number 9 machine, who's now out in his pit stall, and Lowe has now come into the pits himself. So, of course, Lowe was the driver that started this race down in pit lane, hoping for some sort of miracle to take place, but if this race runs entirely caution-free, he may need the benefit of some rockets to try and help get his way up towards the front of the pack as we continue to see pit stops go down. That right there was your at 1 point race leader of John Christensen, the number 44 car, now in the pits.
That entry maybe looked a bit shaky, but everything's fine. No black flags.
It's working out very good as we get to see our first live example of a pit lane rejoin. Thankfully, the driver's playing ball there. I believe that was Low down there on the bottom. However, things could get a little bit dicey, especially with how spread apart the field is in terms of their strategy. We've already seen a smattering of drivers come down pit lane. Going to see one more breakaway and come down pit lane. That right there is Ford from the top spot. We're noticing a trend right now, aren't we, Sebastian? We're seeing the drivers that were running up towards the front and the least draft assistants have to come down pit lane first. Standard case.
Yeah, standard case. They've been pushing a lot on the car, a lot on their fuel. Meanwhile, the other guys, the draft is so powerful, especially in these cars. So pretty much you can be staying like half open, and maybe put 3/4 maybe the catch by the pack. So yeah, and also they're probably using less of fuel maps. As we see, that's a big convention here.
Oh, that is a whole collection of drivers coming down pit lane. Pretty much the entire pack that was left. F-Tink, big lock up there on pit lane as he tried to join. As you can see, very sketchy farther behind. This could get dicey with these drivers coming down pit lane. You've got Ench, you've got Fiolis, you've got Bowles coming into the pits. Callum Ford.
Bowles, that was... I think he may have... He may have to move again because that was a very lousy... not lousy, but that was a very awkward way to park here. Caleb Ford, big break for him. He had a black flag, maybe too fast entering pit road.
Yeah, that's the worry, that you've got one small little infraction there and your race is effectively over. As we take a look at here from Ford, I think it may have just been just caught out there by the pit lane speed, and that's going to catch him out badly. Unfortunate for a driver who was briefly the race leader, but race leader nonetheless. In all of the pit stops that we have seen so far here, there have been a couple of drivers to be able to make their way through and have some very good runs. Pim van Gastel, I don't think we've mentioned the Dutch driver too much. He's currently slotted in second here.
That's interesting.
Actually, he is being shuffled back a little bit. I think my iRacing live timing there was slightly off kilter. I still don't like the fact that iRacing doesn't update it by sector. They update it by lap, because I saw him running in P2. I was like, surely not. Surely you can't be serious. Yes, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Well, surely, anyway, we see like 2 cars shooting out. I think that's lap cars, actually. That's Gomez and that's Ford.
And you could see the cloud of smoke and sparks as the drivers headed their way through that section we were riding on board. You can see some drivers get up into the fence. This is where things get a little bit sketchy here in this event. But as a result of our first round of pit stops officially being dealt with, Manuel Gomez Esteban is now your top running driver. It's been a fantastic race so far for him. I was wondering exactly, how things were going to work out based off the fact that he came down pit lane the first, was burning the most amount of fuel. I guess he's just happy running that number 99 car as the hole punch.
Yeah, I have to make my calculation. Oh, Matthias Strauss with a meatball! What on earth?
Oh. What in the world, man?
Yeah, look at this!
There for Strauss.
The right front completely came off. What happened? And how the heck didn't we get a caution?
And that is bewildering. We're taking a look now. It was heading into the tri-oval. Oh my goodness me. Takes a wild ride through there. Thought he was going to save it and then impacts the wall. Oh, that was so unfortunate. If he got that, it would have been the save of a lifetime. But it ends in tears. The other car involved in there, you can see the number 9. Big disaster breaking out here in this pack. Levinson, he hasn't ripped off the nose entirely. However, one half of the front wing is missing. Oh my goodness me.
That was maybe too aggressive on Matthias' part. Kind of cut across too early. the good news for him, this league has 1 fast repair. So that means his race isn't over. He's a lap down, and we know that some of these guys at the front, they're not really, again, pushing the envelope. So he may... There may be a chance for him to get back. Look at this. Half a front wing. Yeah.
Well,
Drag
for Julien in the production truck, drag reduction, it does work, and weight reduction there as well, but I'm not sure how else that may work there in horseshoes and hand grenades, but we'll have to see as the shuffling still continues throughout the pack. Christensen and Fiola swapping spots. These drivers still packed in like sardines, the entirety of your pack that we have on screen right now, really covered by nothing. Top 9 separated by 2 seconds. That's what I love about Daytona. The gaps around here are absurd.
You can throw a blanket over this top 10.
Yeah, that you certainly can. I'm looking through now because I am curious about the speed of Lovinson. He's actually maintaining it rather well, going about 246, 247 miles an hour, able to work it out well.
Who needs front wings anyway?
Yeah, front wings are overrated. Oh my goodness me, as we ride on board with Rodan F-Tank right here, I am shocked that he was able to get away with that contact that we saw a little bit earlier on in this race, because, with these IndyCars, of course, they're tuned to the nearest millimeter after all, so any small little tap, you think it could very easily end in disaster.
I mean, this is... Well, the IndyCar is an open wheel, so by hand it's a bit fragile, but it's not a Formula 1 car, which you touch it and it just disassembles into pieces. This one's a bit more solid, although once you get a dent in that floor, oh god, that's game over.
In an odd way, a Formula 1 car, especially nowadays, is almost like a porcelain flower pot. You look at it the wrong way and the thing is going to shatter. So thankfully, these Indy cars, just a little bit tougher. They're able to get a little bit physical. Within reason, you can't be and bang like the stock cars would. You'll come out of that with a couple of bits of missing carbon fiber, worth so much that my soul would probably sell for less on the black market, but that's neither here nor there. We follow Jason Lowe, currently running towards the tail end of the pack. We saw him run into some trouble there in pit lane a little bit earlier on, running a Kyle Larson tribute scheme there with the sort of look that he had when he was attempting the double a couple of years ago.
Well, I guess the paint scheme isn't really helping him out like it did for Larson. I think Gomez is actually into pits now.
Seeing Gomez drop down.
Oh, black flag!
Disaster for Gomez. I wonder what in the world caused him to pick up that black flag. It had to have been some sort of infraction. Let's see what the deal was, because he was coming into the pits. Let's follow him here. Going down the gears, trying to hit those marks. Oh.
Speeding, good sir. That's, yeah, he was buzzing the tower a bit too fast.
I like that onboard shot that we had there, because you can see just how much those yellow cones blend in with the surroundings. They don't really stand out at all. There's no visual cue. You're pretty much just told, okay, pit lane coming up soon, and then it, just smacks you across the face with a cold, hard slap of reality.
That slap is very painful.
That it most certainly is, and it's going to cost your at 1 point race leader dearly. A penalty going to send him all the way to the tail end of the field. 13th place right now, disastrous for him. However, because of that pit stop, we know one thing for sure. Let's see some more drivers come down pit lane, including Loveson. This was the car that had that front wing damage, so he will get that repaired. As you mentioned, one fast repair allotted to these racers, so a second chance in these events. However, that 9 going to basically exit out alone, so that could hurt him dearly.
Do you really want to use a fast repair on the front wing? That's the interesting question.
I think it really all depends on how much you want to bet that there's going to be more chaos here in this race.
If I was in Lois's place, yeah, I mean, it's Daytona, so there's bound to be some chaos. So I'll keep that fast repair for later, because I don't see the interest of wasting it on just a front wing.
Yeah, may as well keep that in your back pocket. Have a sort of escape route if things do go awry a little bit later on here in this race. Speaking of, we're still making very good progress. 31 laps into the 76 lap race as it got very dicey there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he clipped the apron, and you see how that apron just like launched him into the almost to the outside wall. As we said in the Aero 5 VR league that no longer exists today, apron bad. Oh! Well, he can thank the netcode gods.
Yeah, that he can. That, oh my goodness. If that was a little bit of wheel contact, that would have ended in catastrophe there. You can see very briefly the front wing was marked as missing, and then iRacing actually gave it back to him. So a front wing return. I don't think I've ever seen that before, as we see coming down pit lane for a fill-up of gas and very likely a change of fire suit after that.
Well, thank God we're not on the Aero 5, because he would have been sent flying to the gas fence.
I can't remember who it was many moons ago that vaulted over the wall here at Daytona, but that would have likely been it. It would have been an Austin Dillon-esque accident coming out of turn number 4, and that does not sound like a cup of tea. That does not sound like the, albeit, fictitious people in the grandstands would have a very good time, as we have more pit stops going on right now. There's another duo. This is West and Christensen. We follow West in this number 69 car, looking back on that 44 of Christensen. 2 more cars coming down. This is the way I think these drivers should tackle pit lane, Sébastien, because at least you have a sparring partner.
Yeah, this is kind of like, you see in stock car racing, where you have like the Toyotas, the Fords, the Chevys, all pitting together, and that's pretty much like what you need to do. Although Christensen, he has teammates around him, so why don't the Altena Motorsports guys all pit together? I mean, technically Ford, Ford had the black flag, so that could explain stuff, but it's not a lifting.
So that is a little bit fascinating that Christensen did not come down pit lane with one of his team cars, but I guess different priorities for different drivers. I suppose that 44 car could be a very strong contender a little bit later on in this race. An old Carlin tribute when Max Chilton was an IndyCar driver in the number 59 car way back in the day. That's an interesting little thing to see here as one more driver breaking away and coming down pit lane. This is Strid in the number 48 machine. He'll be all by his lonesome. There is no lonelier feeling in racing.
Yeah, reminder, in a championship, Strid is fighting Christensen. They're second and third. The leader of the championship, Noah Gill, isn't present today. So there's some big points, some big changes awaiting Strid and Christensen if they can make it through to the end in a very good position. No tires, just gas.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier on, Sébastien, you're bringing up the point of drivers maybe double stinting on the tires. That's exactly what Strid just did there. I think that's a winning formula if these drivers want to do well, as I believe Fiolis has just pulled down pit lane there in the 06 machine. So I think that double stinting tires, I like that call personally.
Yeah, same for me, because I think they don't have enough tires anyway, so that's why they are double stinted.
Yeah, so good call there. A smart call, trying to save a little bit of time whenever you can, as F-Tink going to get jumped there big time. That's Van Gastel getting a mighty run, hang down the back straightaway. The speeds are immense here at this race. That goes without saying, but even then, that looked almost like a scene out of a cartoon with those drivers heading down there. As Van Gastel going to try and bring it down. That's going to be a pit lane speeding penalty.
Yes, A-firm. Oh, that pit entry, I mean, these brakes, I mean, reminder, these brakes, they are not in use. This is it's like you're waking someone with a punch to their face.
Oh, that's exactly what it's like. It's like waking somebody up and telling them that they immediately need to wake up and go run a marathon. Just a quick little note, Van Gastel, when he got that move done, was going at 254 miles an hour. That was insane speeds, but unfortunately the speed that he was as he came across the stripe there on pit entry, that is going to cost him. When he hit that line, he was going 110.
Slightly too fast.
I'm looking into it right now because I am curious. That is nearly double the pit lane speed limit, which is 60 miles an hour. So that is that is definitely a little bit too fast heading down there on pit lane. A for effort, but unfortunately the brakes and the tires decided to all refuse at the same time. It's left F-Tink kind of all by his own after having Van Gastel around him not too long ago. And now F-Tink finds himself in the battle right now for second, side by side with Strid, actually pulling a 1.2-second margin there at the front of the field. There he is, just barely in the front of shot. What a pit cycle there for the 48, taking no tires and pulling a 1.2-second margin. Rarely, if ever, at Daytona, even in IndyCars, can you see a driver pull a margin like that.
Yeah, I know, because these cars, they produce a big amount of drag. I mean, we see it at Indy how much drag and how big the slipstream was, even from Lucas, who lost the win at Indy through no fault of his own. It's just that the drag was so much that Rosenquist just got the big slingshot past him.
You know, a quick little side note about David Malukas. Not a lot of people remember this, but there was an old show here in the United States called Kart Life that aired on True TV, the station that we have here in the States. And David Malukas, as a kid, was actually a part of that show. That was the first time I ever heard of him. And then, many years later, he appears on the Road to Indy ladder, and next thing you know, he's racing an IndyCar for Roger Penske. Funny how things like that work. As we follow Ensch currently running in fourth here in the number 52 machine, we want to thank you all for tuning into the action on Velocity Online Racing here tonight. If you haven't already, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. You get notified faster than Ensch is heading down the back straightaway, getting a move done to Inch's way past Bowles. There's still a little bit of overlap between those drivers, but Ensch making his way up another spot now side by side with F-Tink.
Yep, he's full throttle, map 1.
All gas, no brakes, shake and bake, do it for Dale.
Exactly. Also, something very interesting is like these cars have hybrid. Now they don't have any lift points or braking zone to recharge it. So if you're shooting to the lead by using your hybrid, yeah, good luck regenerating that without getting overtaken.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times I hopped in the sim rig in a handful of months, I decided that it would be a brilliant idea to run the IndyCars at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California, the
Nice.
2-mile D-shaped oval. And that was my first time ever having to use the hybrid in an oval situation. I didn't map it to my old venerable Logitech G920 too well, that was... Again, like juggling chainsaws, it was not the most intuitive experience hopping in the sim rig for the first time in several months. Fellow Dan Ensch, who's been able to jump his way up into the top spot, the American, looking to have some fun here in the morning. It ranges anywhere from about 10 a.m. if he's on the East Coast like myself, or it'll go to about 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning if he's there on the west. So definitely running in the morning. There's nothing that will wake you up more than running 250 miles an hour in an Indy car.
I hate you, Julien. I hate you so much.
There are many things that the 6-7 trend has affected. Auto racing commentators are certainly one of them. That is... I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. Ensch is still your leader, Christensen there in P2, as this pack is still insane. Sébastien, I don't think these drivers have had the opportunity to think about whether or not they can win this race. They've been so caught up in trying to hit their marks with strategy, with what to do out there on the road. But as we get into the final 30 laps of this race, what are some of the names that are standing out to you right now?
Well, Christensen, he won Talladega last season, so he's a big favorite. David Strid, also a very, very good driver. Mike West won last week at the Atlanta Speedway. So those are like some of the favorites you can have today.
Yeah, certainly some very strong and very capable drivers out there on the track, trying to hit their marks as best as they can. Taking a look at the championship point standings, heading off into this round of the championship, Noah Gill, who is not here today, is your current championship points leader. David Strid, if he can get a good run here, certainly that number 48 car has been strong, made that strategy call not too long ago. He can take a pretty big nibble out of that 28-point gap between himself and Gill for the top spot. John Christensen is in third, Mike West and Brian Fiolis complete your top 5 in the points, as we're just halfway through this season, halfway through this race is the halfway mark of this 13-round campaign here in season 31 of the International IndyCar League. And we still got some awesome races to look ahead to. The next time you'll be able to see this series will be in 2 weeks' time, when the series rocks up to a much different tri-oval in the form of Iowa Speedway there in Newton. You can go into that area of Iowa and look at all 4 buildings they have on display. Look at the speed of Lowe there on the high side. He's not really in contention currently. One lap down, my goodness.
That was close. That was some left side Romans there from Jason Lowe. Pushing straight up to unlap himself.
I feel like my bones are soaking in vinegar at the moment. I'm feeling very wiggly looking at these drivers. It's a nerve-wracking feeling seeing these drivers get as close as they will. There's another close call there as Lowe was looking to get some of those moves. He's now gotten himself back on the lead lap, albeit a matter of feet, as right now it's side by side behind between Christensen and Ench for that top spot. As this is getting really froggy. Look at that move from Efting, cutting down from the top to the high side, swapping sides like he's flipping burgers there in the number 18 car.
Getting nervous out there. Interesting. And look at this now. The 2 Altena Autosport car are 1 and 2. And Efting is right behind Kalen Ford, another teammate. So the 3 Altena Autosports are together. That's something interesting to follow.
Yeah, they're packed in very close. Going to see whether or not they can work together to try and make this race go their way. We are getting very close to the next round of pit stops. And speaking of, there we go. Driver breaking away to come down pit lane. That right there was Christensen. Just heard that call. He's coming into the pits. So now the pit window opens once more. It has been an endless barrage of pit stops for these drivers, constantly keeping them on their toes and alert.
27 laps remaining. They will have 1 more pit left, and that will be more a splash and dash rather than a full service. No tires, just gas.
Usually it would be all gas, no brakes, but I guess it can be all gas, no tires here in this situation, as keeping our eye on F-Tank, who's still running very strong right now. That 18 has been standing out to me so far. Here, going to try and once again put Lowe a lap down, as we have some drivers merging back onto the racetrack. They go up a lane high, heading down the back stretch, trying to get the draft. This is a blessing and a curse at the same time for F-Tank, because on one hand, he's getting some good fuel numbers behind this lap car of Jason Lowe there in the 004 machine. However, it's not really allowing him to stretch his legs as much as he would probably want in terms of pulling a margin between himself and the cars right behind. He is constantly under pressure now.
Yep, and you're going to have, and if this continues, you're going to have now leaders that will that will have to fight a bit more to retain that lead. So that, I don't envy that position at all for Jason Lowe.
Yeah, so now as we enter the closing stages of this race, the tension continues to brew as 2 more drivers breaking away and coming down pit lane. One of them is Ford, the other is Strid. So more pit stops going down right now. F-Tank now gets in front of Lowe. He may try and use this as an opportunity to just burn up a little bit of that fuel that he's been saving stuck behind that lapped car. And now holding on to an 0.8 of a second margin. These drivers having to, play a balancing game out there on the track between going fast and saving gas. It has been maybe the most stressful race of the entire season for many of the racers up and down the field.
Yeah, again, it's not really about the physical aspect. It's about the mental aspect, because there's so many things you need to take into account. you need to take into account that you need to not make any contact whatsoever, because that could send you flying to the wall. You need to make sure that your strategy is fine, that your fuel saving is fine, and yeah, you're also going at 250 miles per hour. Like, these guys will be absolutely drained mentally by the end of this.
Yeah, at the very end of this race, these drivers are probably going to be happy that they survived it. That is the main key to take away from it. They're going to be happy they survived. They're going to be happy that they, didn't go through this race without developing some major frontal lobe migraine, because that's definitely a worry here throughout this event as well. Two more drivers that we are waiting to come down pit lane here very, very soon. In fact, they are in the pits. It's Eftink and Brian Fiolis down in pit lane, very close-knit down there in the box. Fiolis out and away. Eftink still up there. He took some tires there in that pit stop there in that 18, so he may shuffle down just a little bit. This could be tense as they head their way through pit exits. They're on the inside of turn number 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Ryan Bowles and Lowe, the two cars at the front of that pack, of course, Lowe still trying to make something work here in this race. They are rapidly closing in. You can just see some small little specks there in the rearview mirror. Lowe right now in fourth, going to try and get the move done. Shuffles past Fiolis. However, in that pit cycle, Eftink able to pull a margin and hold on to it.
Yeah, but once again, he's alone. You have like multiple cars working together. That lead will not last very long. They're already in the draft here.
And so Eftink going to enjoy that gap for as long as he can, but that will disappear in a matter of moments. We follow right now Christensen in this number 44 car running at the top of 6th gear, keeping that momentum rocking and rolling. Interesting to see what these drivers have been doing gear choice-wise throughout this race. I've even seen some drivers in the drift run down in 5th. Very fascinating to see them run it on the red line side by side here. Christensen and Lowe. Lowe right now P3 here in this race, but he now has to come down pit lane 2. It was fun while it lasted. There's trouble there on pit exit. Gonna spin around. That's gonna be his race and any sort of chance he had of victory over.
Yeah, that's game over right there. It was such a, yeah. Again, the braking completely got in by surprise. Probably the rear locking. Going maybe a bit too fast, probably. Well, I think that's more the braking that got him rather than going fast, because I think he would have made pit. He made pit speed limits, so.
And we're hearing as well that Van Gastel has also picked up a black flag, so his race goes from bad to worse, even worse. Or still, we saw him with a big speeding moment down in pit lane a little bit earlier on, and similar shades to it the second time around.
Yeah, that's the second time this race that he got speeding. That's oof.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. Probably a race to forget for the Dutchman beyond the wheel of that number 10 machine. However, it could be music for some of these drivers up towards the front. Some very strong contenders. You've got Strid, Christensen, West, Eftink, and Bowles running in your top 5 as it stands right now. Still all very close. About a half a second between these competitors. And we saw that Eftink was holding on to a very comfortable gap there up at the north end. That has gone away effective immediately. However, strategy-wise, I think things are working all right for him. He'll be able to make it to the end on one last pit stop and not really have to worry about any sort of major conundrums outside of that. And so as we look right now, looking at the fantastic sights and sounds of this race, Eftink is still your top running driver. But I want to give some love to Mike West, the Norwegian driver there in the number 69 car. He has certainly been quick so far here today. Was able to qualify for the race in second. Now finds himself running in third with just about 16 laps left to go. Taking a look in the history books already in this still young season, shall we say. Of course, Noah Gill, championship points leader not here. 3-time race winner, getting the job done at Nashville Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway there about a week after that, and was last able to get a victory on the twists and turns of what used to be called Twin Ring Motegi when IndyCar raced there, is now Mobility Resort Motegi on the road course last time around. However, talking about West, he was able to score the victory last time out at Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta, so we could very well see him get another taste of glory. Taking a look at some of the upcoming broadcasts here on VOR, we've got the IndyCar Open Series Euro Strength of Field running on August the 4th. You can see that track is Portland. That is going to be some fun road course action. The Indy Euro Series will be on the channel after that at Mugello, with the iRacing Indy Next Championship running at Portland on August the 8th. The next time you'll be able to see this series will be in about 2 weeks' time when the series rocks up to Iowa, and we hope to see you all there. And the Global IndyCar Challenge will be at Circuit Zandvoort right after that. Of course, check your local listings. All of the times slotted there are listed out in Central European Summer Time. Side note, I'm never a fan of the other time zone changes throughout the years. If I had $1 for every single time I've been called out by a time zone change in the 3 years and change that I've been doing this broadcasting stuff, I'd probably be able to make back the money that I lost forgetting about broadcasts or at a time that I didn't expect them to be.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes do happen. Thank God now we have like more devices that automatically updates the hour. So like you look at it, it's like, okay, it's this hour. No.
I'm very, very happy about that. It was it was worse when I was still back in school, because that would just be the worst feeling in the world. As we do have pit stops, driver coming down pit lane once again. It's Christensen, West, and Fiolis is very, very quick there on pit entry. I thought that was going to end in tears there. It could very well easily do contact there, heading down pit lane. That nearly ended in catastrophe.
I mean, these two, they already had kind of like a pass with each other because they made contact last week, taking out Brian Fiolis. So that's and he overshoot it.
And he has a black flag too, Fiolis. This is game, set, match for him. What a heartbreak.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness. I think that little bit of contact probably gave him an unsafe pit entry penalty there.
Yeah, because it got him out of the pit lane.
That is so unfortunate for Fiolis. It's going to fall apart just in the final stop as Ronan Eftink has come down pit lane in live time. There you can see it. 2 wheels off in the grass. Running in the grass may have worked good for Dale Earnhardt back in the Daytona 500 in 1998, but it does not work out in the case of Fiolis. His race goes down the drain just like that. Eftink down in the pits waiting to see Ench and Bowles. This will be with about 10 laps left to go. Huge contact there.
Whoa.
Up in the wall. Oh my goodness, how did he get away with that?
Luck or skill? I'm going to say luck.
Yeah, I think that's a mix of luck and potentially the power of prayer there. That is unbelievable as we take now Christensen, Strid, 44-48, side by side in this fight for fourth. Strid going to jump into that spot as we are still waiting to see how things may go for the last driver to come down pit lane. Bowles going to have to come in, most certainly for a change of underwear and definitely for some extra gas to make it here to the end. He has stayed out for one more lap, but waiting to see when he will inevitably come down pit lane there in the number 25 machine. Fiolis, in the meantime, has finally gotten that penalty served. He is out and away down in 12th. That is going to leave a mark.
Yeah, bad day for the Team Watson Racing crew. Yeah, I'll take that into account.
And now we get to this final stage of the race. You know, Sébastien, I remember when we were leading into the show thinking about how stressful it was going to be. Stressful, same difference. How worrisome it was going to be for these drivers heading into this race and how troublesome it could be at times. Just like that, we blink it and miss it. We are now 10 laps away from the fall of the checkered flag. Bowles has now come down pit lane, so this will likely give the race lead back to Eftink unless he could have a very short stop, which, considering he only has to run about 9 laps, he can maybe make an ace call down pit lane and make his way way up to the front. F-Tink, though, going to be the man to beat as we get towards the end of this race. He has pulled a huge gap, a huge margin. It's been able to work out very, very well. Christensen and Schrid now swapping spots. That right now is F-Tink working very well with Van Gastel, who's currently at the tail end of the field in 13th place. But a drafting partner is a drafting partner. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah, I mean, that's big for Rodin F-Tink. That's critical. Because he is 3 seconds, 5 seconds. So now it's about pace, not draft. And you know you have Schrid and Christensen behind him, and they're both fighting for the championship, so they may not get along very well.
Yeah, so this is a... Oh my goodness, 4 seconds, that is, I wouldn't say insurmountable, but that's definitely a nice cushion to have. That is Tempur-Pedic.
That would mean they would need to get 2 seconds per lap, 5 tenths per lap.
That is still definitely a lot to try and bite off here as we get to the end. These drivers, though, not really working with each other. They're playing that game of drafting leapfrog to keep the speed up, but they're not really working together either. That margin has got to go down at a rate of knots. If they can't do that, well, it's going to be F-Tink scoring the victory here in that number 18 machine. He's been strong throughout the night, started from the pole, was leading throughout a decent portion of this race. And it's interesting to say, only has one victory heading into this 7th round of the championship, that coming at another high-speed oval in the form of Michigan a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. I do remember that win at Michigan. And look at this. Like, he has gained... He's gained ground on that chasing back because all they do is bickering. So unless we got a caution run, I don't see a way where these guys catch Rodin F-Tink.
At this point now, we're reaching the point in time where if we do have a caution, we won't be able to get the race restarted in time. I'll have to check to confirm whether that would be the case or not. But right now, if this runs to regulation and runs green to the end, this is not going to work out in these drivers' favor. They're too busy squabbling for the final 2 spots on the podium that they're not really paying attention to what's going on farther up the pack. We follow West, who's getting a fantastic front row seat of the side-by-side fight between Schrid and Christensen, drivers involved in that championship points fight. But in terms of contending for the race win, I think they're rather, I wouldn't say content, but they've settled with the fact that they're probably not going to get the win.
Oh, that was interesting, that little wiggle from West. Don't know what was that. There was no car inside. He just... Okay, I'll keep an eye on it. Oh, as if Rodin couldn't get any better. He now has a tow from Matthias Strauss. Everything is going his way.
It's all coming up F-Tink here at the end of this race as he's going to get that move done on the lapped car. Just keep the pace rolling. I'm going to just quickly go down this because I'm curious how things are working out for Rodin F-Tink. Last time around was able to set lap times that were significantly quicker than the rest of the pack. He was in the 135.6 range, the 35.6 range lap time wise. 1 second quicker than the drivers behind. That is madness.
Julien, what kind of illegal fuel is in that car?
I think it's rocket fuel. No, it's a blended attenuator on the back of that car. That as an IndyCar, as an IndyCar guy, that gives me some bad flashbacks to a couple of years ago. Let me tell you.
I didn't know Julien was in cahoots with freaking Roger Penske.
I guess you learn something new every day. Find those connections and try and hold on to them for dear life. I was thinking it was probably rocket fuel from the airport right across the road. That could maybe be it as well. Some jet fuel would work. Either way, it has been storming.
Oh, he's also in cahoots with Michael Walker Racing. Good lord, but watch this battle, Ron.
Oh my goodness. So as F-Tink looks to try and capture the victory with 6.6 seconds the margin, the matter of who's going to finish in P2 is rather open-ended. We ride on board with Christensen, and look at West! What a run for him hanging down the back straightaway there, 3 wide, all through turn number 3 and 4. This is playing with fire, but these drivers have a bottle of lighter fluid, and they're going to have a fun time. Side by side as a white flag is out in the air for F-Tink. One more lap of racing action for him to score a victory, and 3 wide once more, heading downtown through turn number 1 and 2. Straight west, Christensen. This is getting really tense. Keep an eye on Bowles in the number 25 machine. He could maybe try and get a run. Ensch looks like he has some speed. He's going to maybe try and thread the needle and get a move done here right as we get towards the end. Up at the front of the field, though, with the draft assistance of some drivers behind, Roden F-Tink is going to score the victory here under the lights at Daytona. But who's going to finish in P2? Strid and Christensen side by side right to the line. It's a matter of inches. A wreck behind. Strid gets second. Christensen in third. Bowles, West, and Ensch all crash as they head their way through the tri-oval. It was 0.02 of a second between second and third at the end of that race. And breathe.
Yeah, Strid had the RL line, the inside lane, which is on drafting IndyCar. It's pretty much the preferred lane. Maybe a bit helped by Ryan Bowles right behind him. I feel like they were kind of like offset with Ensch and Christensen. And thank God we're not racing there in real life, because that would have been a very bad wreck for Dan Ensch.
Oh my goodness me, what a race. That was absolutely thrilling. Well, in the midst of that battle there for P2, we haven't forgotten our race winner. Roden F-Tink scores the victory from the pole here in this race. Nonetheless, it's his second win, and coincidentally, it is his second win from the pole so far this season. Grabbed the pole and the victory at Michigan, does it again here at Daytona. He is the only driver, with the exception of Noah Gill, who got it done a week later at Motegi, to get that feat. F-Tink scores the victory over David Strid, with John Christensen rounding at your podium there in third. Ryan Bowles comes across a stripe in fourth. Mike West finishes in P5. Dan Ensch will round out your pack as a result of that incident there right towards the end. Rick Levinson ends up in seventh when it's all done here in this race. A rather surprising result considering how damaged that car was after an incident a little bit earlier on. Jason Lowe started this race towards the tail end, ran into some difficulties early. He ends up in P8. Matthias Strauss is in ninth, with Manuel Gomez Esteban completing your top 10.
And the results. Oh wait, sorry, that was kind of a habit.
Yeah, no, don't worry, quite all right. I was just gonna say Brian Violas, Calvin Ford, and Pim Van Gastel complete your 13 cars class here in this race. But Sébastien, what a race that we saw here. That was, I mean, we were expecting it to be a very action-packed and anxious race, and we certainly got that in full form.
Well, we got kind of like the claustrophobic element of the race. Is like you don't want to make that single mistake. One mistake, it's all over. We got like the fuel strategies. We got big fights, but although like Roden F-Tink just stole this race away by just executing perfectly the pit phase, having Pim Van Gastel helping him, and just getting a win with a 6-second lead at Daytona. That's not often you can say that.
And that was absolutely fantastic. Let's have a chat, shall we, with our race winner. Roden F-Tink is now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Roden, welcome in. Congratulations on the victory, man. That looked like a pretty anxious race here at Daytona. How was it from your perspective there in the cockpits?
Just waiting until the end, pretty much, because with the way the way the setups are made, it's pretty much just a fuel save until the end, and then you want to be very tactical on how you do that and how you make your last stop. Because of the night race, of course, the temperatures were quite low, which means we could double stint the tires easily, and if you wanted, you could even triple stint them. So I just waited until my last stop, made sure I had the best fuel numbers out there, out of everyone, and then just had a shorter stop in the end, because I could take my tires one stint longer and didn't have to change them. And then, of course, it helped out that we have a technical partnership with Ardent, and that Pim Van Gastel was in front of me and could really help me there in the end, just to take it home. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the pit stops there, because as much as the strategy and having to come down pit lane a lot was pretty set in stone, this was a pretty tough pit lane to try and manage. We saw many drivers pick up penalties for speeding on entry. The pit exit is really tricky to try and manage as well. So how was it just trying to go through those pit stops without picking up some kind of penalty or making a mistake?
Just make sure you brake early. No, just take it safe, because the draft is so strong around here. If you lose a tenth or 3 on pits, it doesn't really matter. Towards the end, you want to maximize it, of course, but then you've had like 4 practice stops already in the beginning of the race. So no, just take it easy. And also on pit exit, it's just lifting nice and early. Trying to take as much speed with you as possible, but overall, like I said, just keep it safe. That's just the key to success here.
Yeah, rather be safe than sorry here in this race when it comes to the pit stops. It works out well. You get your second race win after Michigan a little bit earlier on this season. We're going to be heading to another oval in 1 week's time, that being at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What are your thoughts heading there?
I don't think I've driven there. Maybe once before, though. I'm not really sure. So to be honest, I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a look around the track to know what it's like over there. But it'll probably be like same conditions as this race. So should be pretty easy flat around there. But I'm not really sure if I'm gonna do that race. So yeah. To be honest, I can't really give you an answer on that.
Well, if we see you out there on the racetrack in 1 week's time, we expect you to be competitive. But if not, we'll certainly see you out there on the racetrack at some point down the line here on VOR in the very near future. But Roden, before we let you go and celebrate this win, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, but a big thank you to the team, of course. I don't know what happened to John and Caleb this race. I think Caleb maybe made a mistake on the pit stop, which is sad. Could have been a good result for him as well. John finished in 3rd. That's good. Overall, big thank you to Pim. Like I said before, he really helped me out there in the last stint, just to get away from the pack with a nice swap draft. And of course, you guys from putting on an amazing broadcast again.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you for joining us. Teamwork makes the dream work for you here, and you capture the victory, Roden. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And thank you very much. That right there was our race winner, Roden F-Tank, joining us here in the broadcast booth. I think we won't get the opportunity, unfortunately, to have a chat with the sponsor for today's race, that, of course, being Florida Urgent Rescue. But we do want to thank Florida Urgent Rescue for making this race possible. I want to thank you all for tuning into the action here on VOR. Sébastien, that was an amazing race. Certainly stressful for those drivers. I think a little bit stressful for us here on the broadcast. Final thoughts before we wrap things up.
No, I was pretty chill because I knew I was in very good hands with you and Julien, so that was very pleasant to commentate. So that was very interesting. You had like some good action, maybe even a bit of drama. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was certainly a hoot. And folks, the action does not end here on VOR, as all throughout the months we have got you covered with fantastic American open wheel action. Of course, next time you'll be able to see this series will be, in fact, 2 weeks' time when it rocks up to Iowa. However, the next round of the championship that will not be covered by us will be at Las Vegas. That'll be a very interesting race on August the 9th. And again, August the 18th, Iowa Speedway, same time, same place here on Velocity Online Racing to catch the next round of this championship. Our thanks to all of you tuning into the broadcast. We want to let you all know before we wrap up this broadcast that Velocity Online Racing delivers professional iRacing broadcasts, providing an authentic race day experience. Our custom IndyCar style overlays create a clean and immersive viewing experience reminiscent of professional motorsports broadcasts. Streamed in 1440p 60 FPS production with expert commentary, Velocity Online Racing gives your series the presentation it deserves. Broadcast packages start as low as €50 per hour. Contact Velocity Online velocityonlineracing@gmail.com to learn how to make your iRacing special event or league broadcasted in the best way imaginable. Our thanks to all of the drivers and folks here in this series making the action possible week in and week out. So if you never want to miss out on the racing action, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell here on VOR so you get notified every single time we go live. And how about you take a look at some of our race highlights over on the YouTube channel as well. But as for this broadcast here for round number 7 of the International IndyCar Racing League at Daytona, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Sébastien Kinder joining us here in the broadcast booth, our broadcast producer, that being Julien Altena, using onboard cameras provided by himself, and trackcams22.com track cams. I say thank you all so much for tuning into the action here on VOR tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.